Hey guys, Lively here. A few days ago I posted a video about Keizaal Online being run by a guy that's pirating mods and scamming people out of money. A lot of the comments on that video were calling me wrong, a liar, an idiot, a moron, a shill, a loser, jealous, and so on. I hadn't planned to make any sort of follow-up because I don't really care what you think, but things have changed, and you all kept telling me I should do more research, so I felt obligated. I want to start by saying I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I had a little fun with the video and threw in some moments of levity, and I'm sorry that it seems like a vast majority of you are unable to read. It's my fault for posting the images without reading them to you out loud like it's a bedtime story, but I promise I'll do better this time around. Let's start with the mod piracy claims. There were two messages in my last video that people apparently just didn't feel like reading, so allow me to fix that for you. In a message here from Oren, he states, and I quote, "Hey, I'm the founder and developer of this project. Essentially, we have a launcher that players install, and it downloads and installs mods automatically from our downloading server, since Nexus Mods really limits us. It was impossible to achieve it through Nexus Mods, or it would have required every player to have a premium Nexus Mods account." And in another announcement on his own server, he talks about the mods found in Keizaal Online, saying, quote, "You have probably asked yourself why there are so few mods on Keizaal Online. It's simply due to the way we distribute mods so that installation can be as simple as possible while respecting mod permissions. Every time we add a mod, we ensure they are either open to redistribution, or we ask the mod authors for permission." Alright, that sounds good, but let's get to the next paragraph. "While we have done our due diligence to ensure we had the permissions needed, in some instances we were not thorough enough. That is insufficient and we will fix it." So this is basically admitting that you stole stuff and re-uploaded it without permission. "Going forward, we will be going through Nexus Mods directly, and authors of the mods we use will have official channels to communicate about updates and new mods they're working on." I had a pretty funny comment addressing something else I had done apparently, where it says, quote, "And clearly Nexus Mods would take someone hours to download if it's not all packed in one place. Seems like an intentional oversight you needed to make so you could act like it's unreasonable to do a mod pack outside of Nexus. This whole rant just screams the need for attention after not being allowed in the game." So, for anybody that doesn't know me or who I am, I make mod packs for an application called Wabbajack, which is the distribution of mod packs outside of Nexus Mods. It does this by using the Nexus Mods API to download automatically from the website. Or, if you don't have a Nexus Mods premium account, you have to manually click the download button. It's the same way Nexus collections operate. If you have a premium account, all the downloads are automated, and if not, you have to manually click. Either way, collections and Wabbajack mod lists are both considered mod packs, and this comment really just doesn't make any sense. As for mod piracy, maybe you don't know how permissions work, so I'll give you a quick rundown. Bethesda provides everyone with a copy of the Creation Kit, which is the engine used to make the game. Everyone is allowed to create content for their games from this software. If you write custom scripts, make new textures, design new meshes, or anything like that, you own it. Whether you sell it or not is irrelevant. This is reflected in the Permissions tab on Nexus Mods pages here, where it tells people if redistribution is allowed, among other things. So taking mods and moving them from Nexus to a privately hosted server, and then allowing people to download mods from your server to bypass Nexus Mods and the author's permissions, is mod piracy. It's that simple. Money doesn't have to change hands. It is theft. And it seemed like a lot of the people in the comments didn't understand that, so hopefully that's all nice and cleared up for you. Next, we should address the Patreon allegations. There's absolutely nothing wrong with having a Patreon. I have a Patreon. Most modless authors do. The more money you make from donations, the happier everyone is, and I strongly encourage you to support your favorite creators. Even if it's just $1 a month, it really all adds up. But the difference between donating to your favorite creators and what I described in Keizaal Online's Patreon is quite vast. A lot of the people in my comments were acting like I didn't mention that the priority queue reward was new and then promptly cancelled, so let's go back and watch these two clips again real quick. Yesterday, Keizaal Online added an option to their Patreon for a priority queue. You see, their online server was only supporting up to 650 players, and if their Discord numbers are anything to go by, there's at least a couple thousand people waiting in line to play. They also said priority queuing won't be a thing for patrons anymore, which is funny because that just happened 2 days ago, and they sold out. So I guess they paid for literally nothing. Congratulations, guys! So yes, I was aware that it was new and that it was stopped. And I'm sorry, but saying, I only did it this one time is still the equivalent of, doing it that one time. It's indefensible, no matter how much you want to hand-wave it away. I hope this practice doesn't return, but in my experience, people that try to monetize in these kinds of ways will keep finding other little methods to skirt the rules and keep draining your wallets. But that's just my opinion, so only time will really tell how that works out. Now this next one will be a pretty quick point. A few comments said nobody was being sent to this video to brigade it, and nobody was sent from the Discord. I even had one comment say that even if I posted the comments now, it wouldn't matter, which is just another way of saying, you don't have proof, but if you do, I'm already dismissing it, so don't bother posting it. So I'll go ahead and just post this one for you here, where Jazzbo says, "Ooh, found a YouTuber slandering Keizaal with misinformation, calling it a scam. Can't post a link here, but look up Lively and downvote it." Yeah, nobody was sent here, thanks. However, the most problematic comment I got was this one. I was looking around and saw comments how co-founder, Discord username greirat, whose character is called Ergan, was allegedly called out for ERP about minors. If you're not aware, ERP stands for erotic roleplay, so we're talking about, sexual misconduct with children. Anyway, again, multiple posts on Reddit mentioned something of this. I saw old posts about Oren not wanting to ban in Discord general chat, about 4 months old. What's even more shady? Some members in Marith roleplay know something, hence a lot of heated dislikes. Those developers were open and trying to do things openly like using Nexus API and no paid priority. I know Keizaal Online made £1,500, which is about $2,000 with 300 plus members. I wish I caught a screenshot of the page before being nuked. Now, up until this point, I had planned to completely ignore all the comments here and never make any follow-up videos or statements about Keizaal Online, because I quite frankly don't really care that much. But this accusation really got to me. After all, accusing someone of this kind of behavior with a minor is something that can and should never ever be ignored. greirat contacted me himself after seeing this, and I think it's important we get a little background on this guy before we go any further. So greirat introduced himself as one of the founders of Keizaal, who left due to a lot of his talking points in previous drama. I have a lot to add and share with him. Him being me, he's referencing my video. So as he stated, he was one of the original founders of Keizaal, and we can even get confirmation from Orem himself that that is truly the case, with this quote where he says, "greirat co-founded Keizaal with me." So we've got that established, set in stone. So he can definitely provide some behind-the-scenes insight into what's going on here. Let's read his first message to me together. As the person who was in charge of getting credit from modders, I can 100% say with certainty that he steals mods. Either mod developers have directly told us no and he used them anyway, or mods he used directly state you cannot upload the file to other websites under any circumstances, which yet again he did anyway. The reason Keizaal is closed source is because another project called BStarRP/MarithRP forked his project, and he didn't like that at all. Went on a small rant in staff chat when it happened. There were a few devs who said they wanted to talk about Oren using their mods without permission. I believe it was some people who worked on Sentinel Armor Overhaul and Actor Limit Fix, but they don't want to give Keizaal more popularity. So right away, we have confirmation of mod piracy from the co-founder of Keizaal Online himself. Personally, since greirat just came out of the gate and admitted he was in charge of getting credit, and the project still resorted to piracy, I really don't see a need for him to lie about this. But let's see what else he had to say. He said, "I'm the founder of Keizaal Online. Keizaal wouldn't be here without me, and I say that with full confidence. I'm going to go through every bit of drama. Point 1. I banned a 27-year-old for trying to marry a minor on the server, and Orem blew up on me and another staff member who defended me. I left because I'm not going to be disrespected, especially by someone who let the server fall that far just to chase player count. I tried to put real work into making it a proper place, but they turned into sellouts. A lot of people begged me to come back after because the server was going to die, and I did get an apology, so I had the idea to just ride it out and promote SkyMP. While I was there, I poked around, got a feel for things, got buddy-buddy with people, and eventually realized the current staff/concurrent players mostly just act as damage control for Oren. They all seem to hate him too, just talking shit behind the scenes about him and each other. And we'll get into that more in just a few minutes. I tried reapplying for staff, just kinda wanted to see how they were running things cause I had my suspicions, mainly that they were just copying shit from other communities or reusing my old ideas on top of all the shit they talk about people. But got denied pretty much only because Oren basically thinks I'm the reason he gets called a mini Epstein now. Which, again, we can confirm with another quote from Oren himself, who says, "Might have been Iris that said things since I'm now branded as a small Epstein by some." And we'll get into more about Iris in just a few minutes as well. But anyway, let's go on. After a few more weeks, I started getting messages asking why I supported Keizaal, and more people calling Oren out on his shit, and all the constant backbiting and fake customer service personalities got tiring. Keizaal was popular enough, so I decided to leave for good this time. Honestly, all SkyMP needs now is someone to come along and make a proper whitelisted server instead of this mini 5M slop fest, and things would be fine again. Proper leadership, no AI, and a staff team with experience. So let's talk about Iris. Iris here was another GM, which is a term for a game master or a moderator. And we're suddenly starting to see a picture of numerous staff members that are largely not on board with Oren's actions. I even went ahead to see if Iris is still an active staff member, but it appears she has since moved on from the project entirely, and I was unable to contact her. But now we can get to the real meat of that original allegation, so let's see what else greirat had to say. This is the only screenshot I have of the 27-year-old messaging the victim. From what the head staff member told me, they unbanned him and let him play on the server to this day on an alt. All of Solitude knew about the marriage that was supposed to happen in character and did nothing but make Chris Hansen jokes and never reported it to anybody. She had pretty damning evidence, but ended up getting scared a few days later, probably because of staff intervention, and went back on everything she said about him. And he provided a screenshot between the alleged groomer and the alleged minor, and I'm going to blur out her name because why wouldn't I? But she says, okay, I'm sorry for what happened. And Dzaknax, who is the alleged 27-year-old predator, says, you don't have to, don't worry. She replies, I hope it gets better. And he says, so do I. And she says, also, sorry for not telling you, I didn't want to make it weird. And again, he replies, don't worry about it. Now, these are obviously some pretty serious allegations, so I of course wanted to see how true it was. And a really quick search revealed something pretty interesting to me. So here you can see greirat himself using the ban command with the reason, inappropriate roleplay with a minor. Now this tells us two things. One, greirat was indeed in a position of power with the ability to ban users. And two, he bans users for the actions outlined here. Both of which, in my opinion, strengthen his story. This also seems to have caused a rift among their own users, since we also have a record of this exchange between greirat and another player by the name of Pelagius. And Pelagius says, did you know that Arctis, or Dzaknax, was found innocent by, quote, the court of GMs, end quote, and is not being allowed back onto the server because of their fuck-up. His rep is fucked anyways, but still. And greirat says, wow, that's pretty crazy. They had multiple witnesses and evidence of it all. She even admitted to it herself. Pelagius replies, yeah, the GM spoke to her again, and she said he didn't do it. And greirat sarcastically says, wonderful cover-up. Hopes she can get the help and protection she needs. Before I left the server, they were arguing on if they should ban the people who stayed quiet and made jokes about the marriage. A few days prior, Arctis, or Dzaknax, was asking if ERP was allowed as well, which is, again, erotic roleplay. Sad situation, Orin just wanted to give them warnings, with a shrug. So that's pretty crazy, but it gets somehow so much worse. So even more damning, there's also this message from Iris. Now bear with me here because it's a long one, but I promise you it's worth it. And for some really quick context, Urgan is the name of greirat's character, so they are one and the same person. So when she says Urgan, she means greirat. So Iris says, sounds good, sleep well, so I guess they were talking about something else. But then she goes into this whole speech here. So it all basically started way earlier than my time on the server, between Orin and Urgan having some sort of beef about how things are done. Orin generally being disrespectful to him from what I know. This is not proved, I don't have proof, but it's safe to say it did happen because of further context down the line. The tipping point was yesterday when I was the first one to find out about a minor potentially being groomed by a 27-year-old. Naturally, I uploaded the proof on the staff chat, and Orin at the time either wasn't around or didn't see it. Urgan did, however. And he obviously said, fuck that, and banned the guy. The issue is that bans were only able to be done on general chat for some reason. Who's at fault for that, I don't know. And if you don't know a lot about Discord permissions type stuff, that's actually pretty understandable because you have to give each role separate permissions per channel. So if you don't set it up right, it is totally possible that you can only ban somebody in specific channels. So that's completely believable. But anyway, moving on. Then a giant argument in staff chat started, with Orin on one side being worried about being sued for acting too fast and banning the guy. That's not something that could happen. No court would accept that. And the rest of the staff only really being worried about the girl and mostly trying to convince Orin that this shit isn't something that should even be remotely tolerated. Eventually Orin said some harsh words to Urgan and basically saying he was a shitty admin. Urgan decided to leave the server as a result. Cue today where I woke up and chose to do my best and just overall work tickets so there was less load on everyone. I did a few, decided I'd probably take over the responsibility of the vampire storyline. Orin told me it was too early for that, and I respected it. I did say to someone that I probably will be able to manage it in time. Somehow that got leaked, Orin got very mad. Before that, within the same hour, there were also other incidents with me trying to clarify things of small issues and him being passive-aggressive, which I thought was just tempers being on high from yesterday. Now with hindsight, I'm pretty sure he got very mad because of just how I said that I'd prioritize the safety of a 15-year-old above his word, and overall how I spoke and told him how things were rather bluntly to avoid confusion. And she even sent greirat a message here saying he did the right thing, where she just sent a heart emoji and said, I understand and respect your decision. Know that all the time I've joked about pinning things on you were just that, jokes. I stand by your actions and how you did them. And he said, thanks, friend. But then the plot thickens. Halari, another of Keizaal Online's moderators, sent me this snippet of Iris allegedly talking to the supposed groomer, stating, while the picture was incomplete and at the time it seemed you had groomed her, basically everyone including myself were very angry. Eventually, more and more proof popped out, and it kinda cleared the picture. I'm sorry to say that they probably won't allow you back, but I don't think they're pissed. And if it makes it better, I was the one tasked with reporting you to Discord, and I did not do it, so you're fine on that front. And yes, Talazar did provide all he could to clear you. Now, I'm not really sure what this means. I don't know what they mean by clearing the picture. I mean, it's pretty cut and dry. Either you did or you didn't groom a minor 15-year-old girl. And I also don't know who Talazar is. I was looking into the Keizaal Online server. Apparently he was banned quite a while ago. So take that for what you will. And she wasn't the only one either. Foggy, another member of staff, had this to say. That pisses me off because I'd expect him to stand up for you, but he also probably doesn't want to shake the bear because of how much the community relies on him also. This is just stupid and sad as shit, and that consensus network thing I crashed out about first couple weeks around will be put to use. If we can really get the message across about dissatisfaction, reframe how everyone infantilized Orin to hold him accountable if he wants us to stay, and I can speak longer than he can hit the ban hammer, then maybe he will give his head a shake when he realizes the community is a lot more interested in your ideas of a server than his. Dude should be worried about the fact that a minor was exploited. So I don't really know what he's talking about in the first half of that, but it's very clear that all the other staff members have to treat Orin or talk to Orin a very specific way in order to not upset him. And that last message also implies that he's not at all worried about a minor being exploited, but rather what effect it'll have on him and his server. Not a good look. So at this point, we have Greirat, Iris, Foggy, and Pelagius all confirming that there was inappropriate role-playing with a minor. There may have potentially been a cover-up, and there was a serious issue of distrust amongst all of them, with Orin apparently being very difficult to work with. So let's move on to Greirat's next point. So, point 2. On the topic of your video, I'll try and assist with everything I know. Hey, thanks, man. Orin tries his best to make the code unintelligible so nobody can copy Keizaal Online. As the person who was in charge of getting credits from modders, I can 100% say with certainty that he steals mods. Either mod developers have directly told us no, and he used them anyway, or mods he used directly stated you cannot upload the file to other websites under any circumstances, which yet again he did anyway. The reason Keizaal is closed source is because another project called bstarrp/marathrp forked his project, and he didn't like that at all, and he went on a small rant in staff chat when it happened. There were a few devs who said they wanted to talk about Orin using their mods without permission. I believe it was some people who worked on Sentinel Armor Overhaul and Actor Limit Fix, but they don't want to give Keizaal more popularity. We can see for ourselves here that, yes indeed, both of the mods mentioned above have closed permissions, so uploading them to a private server for others to download from is 100% illegal. You can't do it. It's mod piracy. And again, to reiterate, since Greirat was the one that outright stated he was the one in charge of getting credit for the mods used, and you can even see it here, this is really just a huge self-report, and Orin is apparently taking steps to fix this, and everybody seems to be agreed on that point, so good on him. I hope they fix it. That'd be great. Greirat also shows a conversation he had with a user named Dex. It says, "Hey man, I'm a software engineer who was recently brought in with the Keizaal popularity spike, and I messed with SkyMP all day yesterday as well as reverse engineered a lot of the Keizaal stuff. I'm curious about your time with the dev and why he seems to be so against open source and anything. I'd love to build an easy installer or guide fork of SkyMP that can allow people to spin up their own servers in a more streamlined manner so this awesome experience isn't gatekept behind one guy." Now I love this guy, community-oriented, he wants to do the right thing, and again, like I said in the first video, SkyMP is under a GPL3 license, so you can't have a closed source fork of it, it has to be open source. But Dex eventually continued with, "Seems there was a bit of drama. To be fair, as someone who has been in software for 15 years, there was no avoiding not using AI agents in modern software development, so I'm not going to judge his perceived use of that. And there's a big difference between a junior developer vibe coding and a senior using it to architect. I'm not going to get into the personal aspects either here because I'm really just interested in de-bottlenecking this. It is just incredibly frustrating that this dude, meaning Orin, does not seem receptive to being offered any assistance in the dev process." And again, I agree with this as well. AI certainly has its uses, but if you're using it to code from scratch, you're going to spend more time trying to fix it and correct it than if you had spent any time writing it yourself. Whereas someone more familiar with the coding and whatever language you're using, they can use AI to handle some of the more tedious processes, instead of writing it from scratch, so it's really a matter of using it to generate or using it to help, and that's basically what this Dex guy is saying. And Greirat says, "As to why he doesn't open source it, he said to me multiple times he's scared of a project coming along and killing Keizaal off. Beastar forked it when it was still public, and he got salty, I guess." And Dex says he seems incredibly paranoid, he tries to obfuscate client code to cause more friction so people don't use it as an inspiration. So yeah, it's really just like he said, this Oren guy is trying to gatekeep all of this code, despite it being based on a GPL3 licensed project, because he doesn't want other people to take away his clout or his shine. He wants all the attention on him and only him. And that means this has nothing to do with building a community or any sort of respectable establishment. He just wants the attention, the clout, and whatever money would come with that. Now, Greirat's third point here is a little bit more skeptical to me, but we're already this far down the rabbit hole, so we might as well keep going. So point 3, I made a response talking about all of this under a Dextro tweet, and I guess the team got upset with me because they immediately cut all ties. And I'll show you the tweet here where he says, I'm a founder, Keizaal is a mess, and that's his joking shitty name for Keizaal Online, is Keizaal. They brushed an insane situation under the rug, unbanned a nonce, referring to the 27-year-old groomer from earlier, and silenced everyone talking about the situation. They've stolen mods, use AI, have no accountability, all with fake customer service attitudes. Hope someone uses SkyMP to do better. And he continues, the head staff has said on like 3 separate occasions that he studied psychology and uses it on the server to psychoanalyze or manipulate people in a voice chat with me in a server we stayed in contact with, after I left Keizaal a few weeks before he unadded me for making that Twitter post. Someone pointed out that Oren has had weird bouts of consciousness and accountability that is completely out of the ordinary, and that they wouldn't be surprised if Oren's down-to-earth and heckin' chill dude persona is just staff, yet again trying to infantilize and de-escalate things for him. Oh my god, I'm sorry, this is just really stupid. This is so much he said, she said, like, I feel like I'm trying to mediate a breakup at this point. Psychoanalyze or manipulate people in a voice It's Discord, dude. It's Discord and it's Skyrim modding. You don't gotta be like this. Just be normal-ish. And this tweet apparently got the attention of another one of the Keizaal Online moderators, Don Vondre, I guess. I'm just gonna call him Don. But he contacted greirat saying, could have worded it in a better way, dog. Calling it Kai slop and airing out dirty laundry isn't very educational in my opinion. But you're entitled to your own perspective and statements, I guess. Besides that, it sucks I've stuck up for you in staff chat, and they're going to use this as ammo to badmouth you further. But it's whatever though. And on top of that, you told me you just didn't want your name attached to the project at all. So why go and attach your name to it on a fucking Dexerdo tweet, bro? And greirat responds, it proves my point further, if you know this is going to be the outcome, I don't know why you'd still support Keizaal. Because people need to know, another server needs to come out. I'd rather be real as fuck than pretend to like people just for some Skyrim roleplay. Like I said, shit ain't gonna change. Even if all the staff team did some fucked up shit, people would rather play Skyrim roleplay and ignore all of it. Just need another server. So I won't focus on this too much, you can make of it what you will, but it continues to prove that numerous staff members had problems trying to keep others in line, as well as, again, infantilizing interactions with Oren. But for now, let's just move on to point 4. Some of the current team uses AI to make characters, and AI was used to make the UI you see while playing on Keizaal. Even Oren's mini Fallout 4 multiplayer project that was in the making was made entirely with AI. Everything good or wholesome you see on the server is a cover-up while they backbite and shit-talk everyone. But this is exactly what I meant under the Dextro post, that how people would rather be ignorant to all of this shit and would rather just play Skyrim roleplay. When more servers come along and people have alternatives, it's going to clearly separate the degenerates from the people who have any sort of backbone. Part of the reason why I'm rooting for Marath RP and have been advertising SkyMP to English audiences. They got blinded by rising player count, reused ideas I had mentioned a long time ago with systems from other roleplay communities, and doubled down on being pushovers. They'd host events for friends just to hand out whatever players wanted, losing on purpose to give players the items with no structure or consistency, just chasing numbers while talking shit about the players they created. They have absolutely no idea what they're doing, but pass it off with backwards customer service attitudes so people eat it up. Again, I think this is kinda getting into the more personal beef territory than anything truly scummy. And if you know me, then you know I have pretty strong feelings about AI and vibe coding, which, hint, it's usually bad. So again, I'll let you draw your own conclusions from this, but I will say, this confirms some of the other things I've seen, such as these posts from Reddit, where one user states, quote, I played on it for a few weeks and I've seen a good amount of drama, how things work, etc. Basically, if you're not in good graces with the admins, they won't let you do fuck all. They would randomly change rules, not make an announcement, then get on players for not following them. Storylines are not player-driven, and you need to get personal approval to do anything cool, also known as the types of things you would imagine on a large-scale role-playing server. Basically, if you want to stand around and do nothing, this is the server for you. Like many servers, the server kind of exists at the admin's pleasure. Roleplay just adds a weird layer on top of that. I also happen to know they covered up a minor and another prominent player going into private buildings and doing e-sex stuff. And then there's another post that stated, went into the server, got called a skooma addict by simply spawning around Riften in the newcomer clothes. Then in less than 30 minutes of me trying to buy a robe with no luck, a 7+ group called the Gooners called me a whore and tried to get me to fuck them. Went into a bar and someone proudly admitted to fucking a fish because they didn't see any whores around. Then the server was wiped. 10 out of 10 roleplay experience. Oh my god. So, clearly, there's a pattern of particularly interesting behavior in Keizaal Online, which I'm not sure if I should comment on, but I feel like I've already commented on it, so it is what it is. But to that end, I did receive full permission from Greirat to use these messages and quote him directly, and for that I am incredibly thankful. You can see here where he says, I give you full permission to use any of these screenshots or my messages. Hope this helps you to educate these people who are so misguided and are being lied to. Frankly, I find this whole situation to be pretty sad. These guys were obviously pretty good friends that wanted to make something cool for the community, only for this whole project to get torn apart by deception, lies, greed, and distrust. And I'm genuinely pretty worried for this guy. I even told him after this video comes out, he's probably going to have a lot of people digging into all his old messages and trying to find some shit they can stir. So, Greirat, I truly wish you the best of luck with that. Try not to let people get to you. As for the Keizaal Online community, if you want to come here and brigade me again, I really don't care. I don't care what you think. I don't care what you say. You're kind of a lost cause. I hope someday you'll take the blinders off and see what's really going on and stop worshipping people like this. For everyone else, I have no dog in this fight. I have no interest in Keizaal Online. I don't really like online games in any capacity, really. I'm much more of a single player kind of guy. But if you don't believe me, again, I don't care. That's fine. You can say what you want. But until then, the next video is going to be a Chrono Cross one. So feel free to subscribe if you want to see that one. Thank you to all my Patreon supporters. Thank you to Greirat for all of this incredible information and insight, and I will see you all next time.